Welcome back, Kaspa Cast traders, lovers, investors. Today we have amazing video to give you guys. We're getting some bullishness in Kaspa Cast. We're gonna show you the momentum cross we're getting, the bullishness for Kaspa, and Jomo also gonna give you some trade ideas. If you like to trade Kaspa, make some money, maybe use stops and stuff like that. Jomo will show you how. I'm just gonna share the chart first. All right, Jomo.
Yeah, smash the like button, subscribe, stay until the end if you want to hear my advice about what potentially you can do to start getting into Kaspa. Smash the like, subscribe, comment in the section below. CM, go for it.
All right, so we have a stochastic RSI cross here on the weekly. That's good, when you get in this cross, that means you get some bullishness momentum here. Again, it's not really strong at the moment, but we have a cross up. That's always a good thing. Also, we have a potential double bottom here, here on the weekly chart and also on the daily chart. So this could be a local bottom for Kaspa, and that could be a tradable bottom, just like we're talking about a lot. Tradable bottom, and Jomo will explain to you what you can do with this kind of pattern. So we have a double bottom, we have a weekly momentum, and we have pretty much, you broke out of this trend line, you can say, this kind of downward trend. Now you need to break we have a lot of resistance overhead, but still you can make some good money on it if it can break that level and start a rally. And Jomo, what do you think?
For sure, man. For sure. Look, what you said makes a lot of sense. That double bottom might actually be a potential bottom. But first and foremost, look, whatever we're saying right now is not financial advice because we can't give that. But we are telling to you what we can do based on the information we have. And of course, we have, all right, on Kaspa, what you said, the double bottom. It's not a regular double bottom because it actually had kind of a shakeout, okay? Now, the reason I like it is because this bottom over here went a little bit below the first bottom, okay? So this is what is called, okay, and referred to as a shakeout. As you can see, if I create a horizontal line, you can see it went a little bit below this. Now, why is a shakeout important? Because a shakeout is a type of expectation breaker. A lot of people, once it went below this area, maybe initiated a short, right? CM and I, we didn't initiate a short here, okay, because we understood that Kaspa short was already exhausted, but a lot of people did, right? And afterwards, this was actually bought back up. So it created a shakeout, which is an expectation breaker. That's one thing we like to see in potential double bottoms, okay? Now, a second thing that we can see over here is that we are moving sideways in a nicely orderly fashion, okay? Now, very important to note, we have a lot of overhead supply. If you don't know what overhead supply is, overhead supply basically means buyers that are stuck with positions at a loss and they're waiting for the price to go back to roughly break even to sell it, right? Think about it. It's a psychological phenomenon where people, the one thing they want is to get out at least at break even. Think about it, probably happened to you many times, right? So all this overhead supply will act as selling pressure. That's why we don't believe that from now to tomorrow we're going to have a 300% move on Kaspa. That's not what we're saying. We're not saying that. We are saying that potentially Kaspa is moving sideways for a tradable bottom that makes sense, okay? Now, you can see that it's going sideways, potentially breaking for what I think is the better trend line to watch over here, which is kind of wide and loose, which I like it, okay? So if you, all right, are very into Kaspa, you want to DCA into Kaspa, you want to start a position as close to the lows as possible because no one can really catch the low without luck. If someone bought this low over here and he's all happy campers, think he's a genius, you're not a genius. You got lucky, okay? So, but you want maybe to get as close as you can. So what I suggest is you can wait for a potential break above the between 0.8 and 0.85, okay, 0.085, so 8 cents or 8.5 cents breakout over here, and you can wait for it to coincide with a break of this trend line, and you can initiate a position, okay? Now, what do I mean by that, okay? Don't put all in, okay? This is not something that we suggest at all, okay? We only suggest that if you are or you want to start getting into Kaspa, all right, potentially at a very dangerous area still, because it's still very close to the lows, Bitcoin can still drop down, everything can still drop down, you have a lot of risk. But you can start a position here. Maybe from the 100% capital you want to be in Kaspa, maybe start with 5%. Maybe start with 10%. Watch it, get out of this area, boom, you initiate it, then maybe it breaks back above, creates another way, and you can add, you can progressively expose into Kaspa. But very important, if you do, all right, use this kind of area to initiate the position, use a stop loss, right? Be smart about the position. If it goes back into this area and below this, the 7 cent or 7 cent, get yourself out of the position with a small loss, wait for a better entry, because that would mean you are either wrong with the trend, it's all reversing, it will continue down, or wrong with your timing. And you don't want to be wrong with big loss, you just want to be wrong with a small loss. So this is my suggestion for Caspians that are looking to potentially start DCAing. Wait until this conjunction of things happen, but remember, always have risk management first, always use progressive exposure, be safe, make sound decisions. What do you think, CM?
Yeah, man, absolutely, absolutely, guys. By the way, if you want to join our community to get all our trade alerts, where we take profits, where we put our stops, when we buy, because we not just buy, we buy in a condition. Okay, if there is a breakout, we buy. We're not just buy. We wait for the market to tell us buy, and then we buy. So you want to join our community, man, become a professional investor, professional trader, treat crypto professionally, make money consistently, protect yourself in a bear, learn how to short in a bear, learn how to long in a bull, be accountable, be a professional trader, man. Change your life, your mindset. You're going to be shocked from the world that will be a totally different as a hodler that just getting flushed with the waves of fluff. Anyway, guys,
Yeah.
thank you guys for watching. I actually think, by the way, smash the like, guys, smash the like, leave us a comment. What do you think about Kaspa? Do you think Kaspa is just bottomed out completely, or do you think Kaspa just made a local bottom? I think actually, Jomo, this is just a local bottom. So we're gonna have a little rally. But it need more time for me to be convinced that it is doing now the reversal. For me, it's too early to call for a reversal.
Very early.
I need Kaspa above 0.15 maybe to be convinced that it might be on its way to a new bull run into new
That
high.
is why we use progressive exposure. That is why we don't go all in now. Progressive exposure smartly. I get what you're saying. You're correct. It's very dangerous still.
Extremely dangerous, guys. And yeah, remember, this is now we're getting a nice crypto. Maybe we're gonna get a nice crypto rally. So make sure you join the community, because we're gonna trade the bullish assets. At the moment, Kaspa is nice, and but it's not really explosive. It's not bullish. We look to trade the most explosive coins, and we already have a few positions in them that they are much more likely to make us gains now if Bitcoin will allow. So if you want to join our community, join with the link below, guys. This is the time. We might get a money season. Join us now. What do you say, John?
I have one more thing to say. We might get somewhat of a, buy the rumor, sell the news as well on Kaspa with, in May, they have the 10 beeps kind of announcement. So, what you're saying can be interesting. Maybe this is a tradable bottom, right? Which will go into about new highs with, the 10 beeps, and then will be a sell the news event kind of. That can happen as well. Look, the bottom line is, what we try to do here is to give somewhat of a potential alpha to people because they're waiting for it for so much. But as well, we must always say that the risks right now are as well high. And that's why we use that progressive exposure I told you about. And man, people need to understand that. Look, hopefully we can get a very good trading rally, maybe even a continuation. We don't know. But right now, so early to tell, so early to decide that. That's why advice is caution. slow, all right, and steady decision making. And as CM said, if you want to know exactly how we trade, when do we get out, when do we take profits, join our trading service, because we will tell you all of that and more, right? And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, no edge,
no trade.
cheers, everybody.